As the season of the summer job approaches, young people across the province will find that despite their best efforts to have the right skills and attitude, jobs are tough to come by. The unemployment rate in Ontario is 7%. The unemployment rate for youth is more than double that. Now, imagine how that plays out for homeless youth. Barely scraping by and with zero support or fallback, these young people face astonishing obstacles. Joining us now for a look at the challenges and possibilities, Paul Klein. He's founder of HireUP, the first national job portal for homeless youth. Michael Braithwaite, executive director of 360 Kids. That's an organization helping homeless and at-risk children and youth. Maimouna Iman, who has experienced homelessness. Sean Gayland, co-owner of the Toronto restaurant, The Local Guest. And Jesse Donaldson, who's project manager at York University's Canadian Observatory on Homelessness. And it's great to welcome you all here to TVO tonight. And we want to say right off the top, you're fighting some terrible laryngitis, but you're hanging in there, so we're really glad you're here. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maimouna. All right, let's share some numbers that you folks know all too well with those watching us at home. For example, 235,000 people experience homelessness in Canada in any given year. 65,000 are youth. That's considered under the age of 25. They experience homelessness in this country in any given year. Let's continue on. Studies have shown that these youth generally leave home around the age of 15. 64% of homeless youth are male, 65% have not completed high school, 70% have suffered some form of physical, sexual, or emotional abuse, 25 to 40% of homeless youth identify as LGBTQ. 50% come from middle and upper income families, you may be surprised to hear. And their mortality rate is up to 40 times the mortality rate of housed youth. The most common causes of death, of course, suicide or drug overdoses. And we should add, as is so often the case in our country, Indigenous Canadians and Black youth are sadly overrepresented in all of these numbers. Jesse, I want to start with you first because you've studied this a lot. How do kids end up homeless?
A multitude of factors. So we tend to have this idea that youth who are experiencing homelessness are bad kids or are runaways, and that's not the case. So family breakdown could be one big cause of youth homelessness. Neglect, abuse in the home. Youth can be kicked out or asked to leave or feel that it's safer actually to live on the street or in a shelter than at home. Another can be financial strain. So families are an incredible financial strain and sometimes can't afford to have their youth or their kids stay at their house, and youth have to leave. Another one is affordable housing. So when youth are unable to live at home, where do they go? And when they try to get housing, it's very expensive, often underemployed, but then also discrimination. So landlords unwilling to rent to youth because they're young or for other reasons, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender. So there's a great deal of discrimination. And then also systemic factors. So leaving care, not having a discharge plan when a youth is leaving corrections and they end up getting discharged onto the street.
One of the things that really surprised me in that list of things I just read out is that we assume this is an issue that almost always surrounds poverty. Yeah. But middle class and upper class kids experience this as often as not. How is that?
Well, because abuse and neglect and family breakdown and conflict within the family and mental health issues aren't limited to people who are experiencing sort of poverty or low socioeconomic status. They happen to all families. Another factor can be, we know that youth who are LGBTQ2S are overrepresented youth homelessness population. So sometimes parents can kick out youth who aren't comfortable with the youth's sexual orientation.
Okay, I just heard a new thing. Hang on. LGBTQ, did you put an S on the end?
2S, yes.
What's that?
Two-spirited.
Two-spirited. Okay. Learned something new today. I want to talk to you now because this is not an academic exercise for you. You've been through this. How come?
So I left home back in 2013. It was because of family abuse. I was getting emotionally and physically abused by my father and my siblings, and it was pretty bad. Like, I was not able to go to college because my father did not allow me to. And also, like, I was pretty much locked up in the house, and it comes more with the culture.
How many siblings?
I have a total of 5 siblings.
How many brothers, how many sisters?
2 brothers and 3 sisters. I'm the youngest sister.
And the 2 brothers were with your dad on this one?
My oldest brother never got along with my dad, but my younger brother is with dad, but...
Agreeing with his position, in other words?
Yes.
And how old were you at the time all this happened?
I actually started at age of 16 when I lost my mom. She passed away from a heart attack. And it just got really bad because she always stood up for me. She was always there for me. But after she passed away, it got really bad. I moved out in 2013 September, so age of 19.
Where'd you go?
I went to a shelter. I went to a homeless shelter at first because that was my only option. And then from there, I went to a women's abusive shelters. And when I left home, I did not have my permanent residency. I did not have no money on me. When I left, like the first night I left, I stayed hungry. And the next day, a taxi driver bought me food because I couldn't afford myself, I couldn't afford to buy food because I had no money on me.
If you had no money, how did you buy anything?
The shelter, the second one I moved into, so the women's shelter is a bit different from homeless shelters. They give you $33 a week. And I lived off of that money for like a year and a half, but I moved to like 6-7 shelters because approximately the time is up to like either 4 months or 6 months, and sometimes even they're like less than that. And they give you like food 2 times a day, and they give you clothes donations and stuff like that.
So they got you through it. Those shelters got you through it.
Yeah.
You seem, you've been through it, haven't you? You have been through the ringer, and yet you seem like a pretty terrific, well put together person. How'd you get through all that?
It was pretty difficult. When I left home because of the abuse and everything, I still have bad anxiety. I have PTSD. I used to have depression, but I got through it with like lots of help. I wanted to give up, but like I got lots of counseling. I have been getting trauma counseling from past 3 years, and it has been an amazing help, like shelters. And even I know like to some people $33 might be like, oh, that's nothing, but that was everything to me because that helped me like, keep myself like in place. So yeah, shelters have helped me a lot.
Have you seen your father at all since you left the house?
I have seen my father twice. I actually went home when I actually ended up going home because some shelters, they say that if you're not going through the abusive situations right at the moment, they can't take you in. And that led me to going back to my father for a night. And it was pretty bad because he was not understanding. And then the next day he started yelling at me that I was actually diagnosed with a serious heart condition back in 2014.
You were?
Yeah, my mom had the same one and she passed away in 2010. But I told him that since I did not have money, when I left home, I also did not have my status in Canada. So I had like no bank account, I couldn't work, no health coverage.
Tell me this story has a happier ending. Are you settled somewhere now?
Yeah.
You do? You have a real home now?
Yes.
Okay, how did that happen?
So the last shelter I went to, there was a worker there. I talked to her and I told her that I'm so tired of living in shelters. I just wanna, it just feels like, I'm here one day and the next day it feels like I won't have a roof on top of my head. It's really difficult. So she got me connected to 360 Kids, and I was pretty nervous to come and leave the house and, leave the shelter and come. But since I came to 360 Kids, it helped me a lot.
So you know this guy here?
Yes.
Let the record show Michael Braithwaite's an amazing guy. Let's put some more stats out here before we get everybody else into this conversation. Thank you for sharing all those very personal details of your life, but it's really going to help us all understand this. We indicated off the top that the province-wide unemployment rate is 7%, which is roughly the same as the national employment rate, but youth unemployment is more than twice as high in this province. And if you want to consider homeless youth, we're talking 77% unemployment rate right now. Jesse, this is, I suspect, a fairly obvious question to answer, but let's do it anyway just to get it on the record. Why is it so much more difficult for a young person who doesn't have somewhere to live to get a job than a young person who does?
Well, this is an obvious answer, but housing, I think it's very difficult to get up and go to work every morning and pack your lunch and take transit to work when you don't have stable housing, you don't have the supports around you. So that's one issue. The other, I think, is stigma. So the media-generated portrayal, unfortunately, often of homeless youth is, again, like I mentioned, this sort of bad kid stereotype, and that's not the case. So I think youth are concerned about disclosing their status as sort of a homeless person, or if they've experienced homelessness in the past, and that can be really difficult to fight that stigma.
Let's get some more wisdom around the table here from the experiences. Paul, HireUP is what?
HireUP is the world's first job portal to connect youth who've experienced homelessness with employment.
What partners have you brought on board so far?
Well, HireUP was developed, it was launched in November of 2015 with our company Impact, with the support of the Home Depot Canada Foundation and Workopolis. And since then, we have created a national social enterprise focused on youth employment. We have 22 youth-serving organizations who are partners across the country, including 360 Kids here in Toronto. And we have, I think, 7 or 8 now national employers, including Home Depot, Nordstrom, TD, Scotiabank, Walmart, and others. So,
and these are people
products
who hire homeless kids?
Well, it's just started. So all those companies I mentioned have now posted jobs on HireUp, and so our objective for the current year, for 2016, its first year, is to have 180 jobs created across Canada for youth who've experienced homelessness.
You think you're going to get there?
I certainly do. We're just at the beginning now, but it's already started, and you know, the leadership that these companies have shown is extraordinary. Of course, they all hire many people every year. But I think the remarkable thing here is this is social change through hiring. So any people that they can hire who've had this experience, of course, is transformational for those individuals and helps at a social level in a much broader way as well.
Michael, you joined this, yes?
Absolutely.
What appealed to you about it?
Well, for our kids, just walking into an employer, that might not work out so well. So they need a little bit of an edge. And with HireUp, that's what they get. Employers coming into it absolutely know what they're coming into. They're looking to help our kids, employ our kids, and our kids know going in that that stigma won't be attached to them. Employers are going to accept them for who they are, and they'll have a shot at getting a job.
Do you teach skills to the homeless kids on how to get work and how to keep jobs and that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, along with all the agencies that Paul is talking about, we do teach them. It's like each of the individual kids comes with their own agent, right? So we teach them conflict management, we teach them time management. And if an employer has an issue, they could come back to us and say, can you help me out and work with this youth to work through it, instead of what normally could happen where they're let go.
Although, I got to tell you, from the sounds of what your life was like, living for week after week after week after week on $33 a week, you know how to budget, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
You do. So that's one skill you probably didn't need to teach her, I'm guessing.
Well, I know for a lot of kids, I mean, they're just not used to having the $33 if they don't have it. So when they do come into money, and you can't blame them, they want to go out and celebrate and do things that normal people do, right? So we do have to help them, because they do have to pay rent. And when you're in a shelter, you're not paying rent. So if you want to get housing, you have to pay rent, you have to budget for food, and you have to think of the different costs. So we're teaching them those life skills.
Why did you get involved in this?
I'd like to comment on something that Jesse and Michael said. The stigma is, and I see it, but this young lady is the norm. You know, really is the norm.
In what respect?
Intelligent, well-spoken, you know, not homeless because of choice. And by working with Covenant House and their Cooking for Life program,
right.
I've had 2 young people in our restaurant. And the first one has moved on to higher education with University of Toronto. And the second young lad is actually still with us. We hired him on after his placement ended, gave him a raise. And
what does he do for you?
He's primarily dishwasher and prep, but he's just so eager to learn, and he's just a wonderful kid to have on staff. And you know, I don't look at him as being any different than any of the other staff that we have.
I'm guessing that makes you unusual because, again, my suspicion is that most employers don't want to take a chance on a homeless young person because they think they're not responsible.
It's tragically unfair because, as I said, this is the norm. I mean, you're not dealing with, generally you're dealing with people who are looking for a second chance. And I you know, I can only speak for myself, but I'm probably on my third or fourth chance. And, you know, the individuals I've met are just so hardworking and just taking such great pride that I always preach to my staff, you know, have ownership. Take ownership of what you do. You're not going to be a busser. You're not going to be a dishwasher all your life. But while you're doing it, be the best that you can. And this kid, he really does. And he's got a great smile, which just kills me.
I don't want anybody to misunderstand this next question. I don't mean to stereotype in asking this question, but do you think that the homeless youth that you hire actually love and crave that job more than, say, the average millennial might because of the significance it represents in their life?
He's the only dishwasher I've actually been able to keep as a dishwasher. I've got another great kid from Gananoque, and he couldn't get out of that dish pit quicker. Actually ended up, I think, on purposely doing it badly. So I would, you know, move him on to the prep and the cook and so on. But yeah, I do agree with you, Steve, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maimouna, tell me what you're doing now. You got a job now?
Yes, I just got a job recently, like a week ago, and it is with like 360 Kids Help. I did the Youth Job Connections program, which they have, and they help you find a job. Like in the program, we will do like resumes, cover letter, job training and everything. So one of the workers, Courtney, she helped me find a job. So I just started the job, and honestly, like when I was living in shelters, it felt like it will never happen.
And what's the job?
It's called, I work at a place called Glamagal Twin Spa. So we do like birthday parties from age 2 to 16 or 2 to 12 most of the time. And we do like manicure and pedicure. Did I say it right?
Yeah, mani-pedi, okay. Yeah.
Mani-pedi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the kids?
Yeah,
okay.
And we'll have like a movie night, and we'll do like face mask and makeup and do like different hairstyles on them, whatever they want, and play like small games and all.
What do you think of the job?
I really like it. It's a fun job. Plus I love kids. I love working with children. So it's like, I feel like it's like a perfect fit for me.
Huh.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I am 22. Yeah.
How long you want to do it for?
Probably next couple of years. Well, on the side, like I want to do like other courses so I can get into like a higher job like that pays more. Well, I know 4 languages, so I also want to be an interpreter.
You know 4 languages?
Yes.
Okay, English, what else?
English, Urdu, Punjabi, Hindi.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you finish high school?
Yes.
You did.
Yeah.
Are you interested in going for higher education?
Yes. I want to go to college and then want to go to university. So yeah.
To do what?
I am still looking into it. Like my options that I think of is like maybe business management or social worker, because I know that also many women from my culture or pretty much any culture go through the abuse that I have been through. So yeah.
Let me ask you to put your life on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's say 1 was after you first left your father's home and you're living in the streets and eventually a shelter and you think, and it's hopeless.
Yeah.
Where are you right now on that scale?
Like 9.5.
Really?
Yeah.
You're
I'm
a
really
nut.
happy.
That's great.
Do you know how many people in our society have a 9.5 life?
I wish I could say the same.
No kidding. Like, I think very few.
amazing.
I think you're doing awesome
I
if that's the
just
case.
feel like, you know, my experience and everything made me appreciate everything a lot more and take things seriously and take my life more seriously. Like, just be thankful for everything I have. Like, okay, some people might look at me and be like, oh, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough of this. But some people dream to live my life, you know. So I'm very happy and I'm very glad that I have everything, you know, that I wished for Like, I'm perfectly happy with my life.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do we, Jesse, deal with the stigma of homeless youth trying to get a job, and when they ask for the address and you really have nothing to put down there, how do we get employers to change their mindset around that problem?
Well, I think HireUP is a great example, and the conversations like these a great example, and the time and the story you've shared, and because really youth who have experienced homelessness, they have a vast range of skills and abilities, and really the only thing that brings them together as a group is that they had experience with homelessness, and other than that, they have a ton of assets to bring, like anyone else, to employment. So I think getting employers to recognize that and then championing it. So getting employers, some of the big employers that Paul named, to come out and say, actually, we're committed to this, and we recognize that these stereotypes and this stigma is not true, and these are our wonderful employees that we've been able to build a business on. So it's going to take time.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. I mean, I think that I agree absolutely with what Jesse said, and I think there's a timeliness to all this stuff. You know, there's a whole lot of activity in this area that I think is leading up to some major changes. So I think HireUP is just kind of uncovering what was already starting to happen anyway, which is on the part of employers, not just employers like Sean, which is, I think was already happening to some extent, not enough, but in the larger employers where there's a priority on being socially responsible, on putting a priority on diversity and inclusive hiring and so on. So they had, those words were there, but the actions weren't. Mm-hmm. And I think that what we, as a group really are trying to do is to help them actually live into that, you know, and create a tool where they can hire people who have had this experience. And the other thing that we've learned, which is remarkable, is, and also shows a bit of our own bias, is that, you know, I think when we were going into this, we didn't know the breadth of the kinds of jobs that would be available. But you know what? People like TD or Scotiabank, NEI Investments, and others, Home Depot, have got jobs posted, like jobs for tellers, jobs for, you know, positions that are not, you know, just like a manual labor job. These are actually, you know, very important jobs. I mean, it's all important, but
sure.
You know?
Sean, does an employer have to cut a homeless kid more slack in the workplace?
No.
No?
No, not at all. Paul mentioned that not enough, and I'd like to say, you know, honestly, take a chance. These kids deserve a chance, and I don't consider myself lucky in the experience that I've had. I honestly do think it is a norm, and the stigma should be overlooked. But no, your producer asked me if I treated the young man with us any differently, and originally I said no. And then I thought about it, and I was like, well, when we do big parties and have extra food left over, he does get a little more. But, you know, he really is. He's just part of our staff.
But again, let me go through the stereotypes here.
Yes.
The assumption will be he's not reliable to show up on time.
There every day.
He's there every day.
Never late.
He may want to cut out at 2:30 on a Friday.
Not once.
Drug or alcohol abuse?
Maybe in his past.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Was that ever something that was of concern to you?
No. He's with a wonderful program with Covenant House. They take care of, they're helping each other out. So no, it wasn't. It wasn't really a factor. And actually, I just asked him on Monday if he could pick up Friday, and without hesitation and a big smile, yes, I can. So,
Jesse.
I think Sean just said something, and implicit in what you said is it's also important he's working with Covenant House, you work with youth when they're getting employment. So no, it's not the employer's responsibility to go above and beyond and provide things an employer wouldn't provide to its other employees. But that's why this program is also so important, being connected to a youth serving organization who can help with some of the job readiness, who can help with transport, who can help with housing. So that's why I think this partnership, and that's what HireUP leverages, is so important.
Michael, you wanted to add?
You know what? I don't. These are not perfect kids, and they're no perfect kids, right? So they're going to make mistakes. I've made 10 today already, right? So, but when they do make those mistakes, we are looking for employers that are willing to work with us to step back and say, okay, because when you live rough on the street, imagine 18, 20 years, you go through abuse. That does have an effect on yourself, sleeping rough, on your mental health. We do an event where we have adults go out and simulate scenarios of kids. One night, Paul did this a couple of years ago. One night of no sleep and being on the street, and they're a disaster the next day. So imagine doing that night after night after night. They don't sleep well in a shelter. So in going to work. So you do not cut them slack, but you have to have understanding. And that's where the agencies come in, as Jesse was saying, to work with the kids, work around that, say it's not okay, and we need you to show up on time, and here's why.
Paul, tell me about that experience. You tried it for a night?
I did. Michael asked me to do it, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done.
What'd you do?
Well, they have this incredible event, as he was saying. It's called 360 Experience, and it's in York Region. And you start out, and you're given a destination in York Region, and I think 2 bus tickets and $5 or something like that. I can't remember if that's right, but anyway. But it was so illustrative of the problem in York Region, because our destination was to get to a youth shelter, which was really far away. And in York Region, there's a bus that goes up Yonge Street, and 360 Kids located right on Yonge Street, right on that bus line. But it turns out the shelters are like a long, long way east or west of Yonge Street. So we went up there to as far as the bus went, and then we had to walk. It was, I don't know, it was in March, I think. It was like minus 25. And I think we had to walk for 2 hours or 2.5 hours to get to the shelter. So we really experienced the lack of infrastructure and the problems that youth have. So
what was the shelter like when you got there?
Well, it's called a Blue Door, I think. And it was very small, little house, with some youth in it. Nothing fancy at all. Well, one of the things I was thinking of, I learned when I was there, to your point, they said to me, as we were talking about it, and they said every single youth that comes in here, it's like solving its own a unique problem, like where that youth has come from, what that youth needs, the trajectory afterwards, how long it's going to take to get back to work or go to school and so on. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I was wiped out for about 2 days afterwards, and I couldn't imagine having to go to work or go to school after that.
Jesse, let me ask you about protocol here. If Sean's got somebody who's a homeless kid working in his restaurant,
Sure.
what's the advisability on waiters and waitresses at the restaurant knowing that, customers knowing that, managers knowing that?
Absolutely not. I think just as I have my own personal things that my employer doesn't disclose to the rest of my colleagues, then I would assume that housing status, that would also apply. The one thing I would mention, though, is I think in some instances you talk to the youth on whether it's appropriate to disclose to their direct supervisor. Is there going to be a reason that the direct supervisor knows? And of course, Sean knows about the youth he spoke about, his housing situation. So there are instances, but no, I think you give them the same courtesy as you would any other employee.
Couldn't agree with you anymore. He's just part of our staff.
Yeah.
Who else knows, though, Sean, besides you at the restaurant?
Well, now everybody. No, everybody knew that this is because this is important to us. So everybody, and this is our second young person. So that was one of the things, because you get an interview with the person before they come into the restaurant. And that was one of the things I cleared with him, if it was okay, if I let people know. And, he doesn't have the shame of it. He's improving his life. So why should he have shame?
And where does he actually live?
Right now, he's temporarily placed at Covenant House. But
Gotcha.
it's temporary.
Okay, Michael, let me bring you in on this. The Ontario government has said that it has a commitment to ending chronic homelessness, by which they define people homeless as 6 months or more of the past year. In 10 years. They want to, within 10 years, have an end to all of that. Is that a realistic goal?
I think it is. I mean, there's examples of it in Medicine Hat. I think, and we have to, it's how we think of it too. Ending homelessness might mean that for anyone who wants to and needs a place, there is a place, a safe and affordable place to call home.
You mentioned Medicine Hat. What do they do out there?
Well, as a town, they did just exactly what I said. They made available spaces for people. If you needed housing, affordable and safe, was made available, and the services wrapped around it to keep that housing as well. And it's as simple as that.
So in Medicine Hat, Alberta, admittedly, not Toronto, Ontario, but Medicine Hat, Alberta, they have basically ended homelessness. That's what I've been told. That's your understanding of it as well?
That's my understanding. You know, one of the keys when we talk about ending homelessness is we're very heavy on the response and the emergency response, but we're very light on preventing it from happening in the first place. Yes. And that's the key to doing that. And we're getting better. There's examples in Australia, the Upstream program, where they actually go into schools and they administer a survey. And out of that survey, they can see early signs of what might result in them dropping out or becoming homeless. And they address those signs, and they've seen shelters clear out. It's a great way of doing that, and because no kid should ever have to be homeless, ever spend a night on the street.
I'm just assuming, Paul, that if you can get a kid off the streets, the healthcare costs are lower, the social service costs are lower, so it's in the citizens and the government's interest to make that happen. So is it happening?
Totally. Well, not enough, I don't think, not nearly enough. I mean, I'm a bit more skeptical than you are, I think, in terms of what I've seen so far here in Ontario. What we know is there are three ingredients to this. One is, of course, housing, and there's not enough affordable housing. And I think that what we were talking about, I mean, there's sometimes a wait of 10 to 15 years, I believe, in certain areas for affordable housing. It's not acceptable. The other piece is education, and you know, so youth who've had this experience have to have the opportunity to go to school, and that isn't happening enough because that's related to the lack of housing. And then the third piece, of course, is employment. And there's not enough, and it is not enough of that. And so, you know, and the other part of it is that one of the things that we know is that if that's a great statement, ending chronic homelessness in 10 years. But in order to do that, we know that it has to focus on youth, because once someone has been living rough, being on the street for a period of time, it's very hard to stop.
Again, I'm inferring here that you would have liked to see more support from the Ontario government for these efforts. Are you seeing it?
No, we haven't seen any support from the government so far. And
you'd like to?
Well, you wonder why, you know, why three businesses have addressed or are attempting to address a problem that this government has said is a priority. And we don't actually need their support. We're doing it anyway. But it does make you ask the question.
Jessie, how about Housing First in Medicine Hat, Alberta? I do want to understand this better.
Sure.
How have they managed to basically end homelessness there?
I won't speak to Medicine Hat's specific Housing First, their philosophy Housing First, but I will generally, because I think it's important and topical, is for a long time we had this philosophy in ending homelessness that people had to be ready to get housing. So you had to have employment, and you had to deal with any mental health issues, and you had to have your ducks in a row, and then you were granted housing. And so now we realize, well, wait a minute, that's not right. How can anyone work on the things that they need to be working on without stable housing and knowing where they're sleeping tomorrow? So Housing First flips it around, really simple concept, and says, housing. No, housing is the first step, and then as people want to, and I think a choice is a really important part of Housing First, then we'll work on some other goals like employment and whatever fits that person's needs. So it's a simple shift, but I think it's important.
It seems so obvious on the face of it that you wonder why it took so long for people to come up with that.
You wonder.
Okay, I do wonder. That's what's going on. Okay, can I give you the last word here? Going forward, what do you think? How are we going to make a dent in this program going forward? You lived it. Give us your expert advice on this now, having lived it.
Well, first I want to agree with her because how she said, like, first we need affordable housing and then we can work on other things around. So it was the same thing with me. When I was living in shelters, it was like I could not get anything in place. But once I got into 360 Kids, I got like pretty much everything I needed to do. And right now, like I swear my life was like literally all over the place. But once I got into 360 Kids, I was able to get my life together. I was able to get my mental health and like my health like overall together. So it really helped me to, you know, like get my life straight and reach my goals. And going forward, my dream is to go to college and then go to university and get a job and be stable. And then I also want to help, you know, people like homeless people and like young women who go through abuse. And also, like, in my situation, it was also like forced marriage. So I also want to like help women into that too.
Understood.
Yeah.
And your voice made it through the whole program.
Yeah.
Pretty good, despite the laryngitis.
Yeah.
And if anybody's having a birthday party for 2 to 11-year-olds, they should call you, I guess, eh?
Yeah.
That's your business now.
Yes.
It's great to have you all here tonight to shine a light on a subject that needs a lot more attention. Thanks so much to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Help TVO create a better world through the power of learning. Visit supporttvo.org and make a tax-deductible donation today.